This is Alpna Doshi, uh, Chairman and CEO of Stralin Consulting and a board member in some companies. I've had a 30-year tenure with industry, having worked with large multinational corporations like Verizon, Deloitte and Touche Management Consulting, Royal Philips, Reliance Group, and I'm enjoying right now running my own startup with Stralin Consulting Services focused on AI and digital transformation. With me, I have here my very good friend Renee Lahti. I can say that you haven't met a better transformative C suite leader than Renee, who has got
Wow.
over 25 years of experience in business transformation, data, and security. She's also a board advisor and founding member of the Advisory Board Center. She actively contributes to global NGOs. I'd in fact ask Renee to add, she has such a lovely long history. Maybe Renee, you can say a few words. And before I hand it over to Renee, uh, our sincere apologies for the little technical error which caused us to kind of work it around. And well, we are up and live pretty quickly. So thank you for the backstage team.
So Alpana,
Renee?
thank you. Thank you for that. It's Aloha Friday here on the islands, and to start the day with that kind of a introduction starts my day off quite lovely. Thank you for that. I guess the only thing I would add is the why. I'm a big Simon Sinek um, follower, and my why and why I'm here. It's really all about the world of educating everyone in the world of data science as a citizen, and my 25 plus years of Oracle and Symantec and Hitachi and all of those big multinational companies in tech roles really was kind of the prerequisite to get me to where I am today, which is I love to talk about how we all can be better humans using some of the amazing technology tools that are out there. And of course, the latest and the greatest is the AI world. So nice to
Oh,
be here. Thank you.
excellent. What a great cause in any case. I think with so much that happens in the technology world, sometimes it's not sometimes, maybe more often than not, it is so difficult to keep up. And what a great way for leaders like you to share some of this knowledge with every one of our audience. We will make it very informal, very interactive. It's a beautiful Friday. I'm in California. Renee is in Hawaii. So, with that, our discussion topic today is Taming the Tech Titans, Governing Data and Responsible AI. And this also goes out to all the men and women who are really trying to go up in their career, or who have already achieved their career goals, but really want to be part of this kind of a discussion to understand what the rest of us are thinking and talking about. uh, so Renee, I'm going to ask you with some real basic introductions. Like, I have seen now, right, starting from artificial intelligence, which had really come up many many years back, but I had picked up speed so much more faster with chat gpt and all. My focus is data. How does What are the core principles of data ethics, and how can organizations implement them more effectively? So I guess the ethics part is where I'd like to bring in some more light to the whole problem.
Yep. So I think I'll answer the question maybe taking one step back, because we talk about AI. I think we can't log into LinkedIn or read a Harvard Business Review article that doesn't have something about governance, AI, ethics, rules, statutes. We need to do more. And I think it's kind of the why. Like, I love to start with the why is this such a panic now? And I would first say it's not new. And there's this great quote, little short story I want to tell, if you'll humor me, Alpana, because it kind of sets the context for that question. It's from Stephen Hawking, which we all know and love, and is a brilliant man. He passed away in 2018. But before he did, he had this great quote, again, before 2018. So that's before the chat GPT frenzy. It was the start of AI conversation, but not for everybody, still data scientists, et cetera, that were doing the work. And the quote goes like this: the real risk with AI isn't malice, but competence. A super intelligent AI will be extremely good at accomplishing its goals. And if those goals aren't aligned with ours as humans, we're in trouble. You're probably not an evil ant hater who steps on ants out of malice. But if you're in charge of a hydroelectric green energy project and there's an anthill in the region to be flooded, too bad for the ants. Let's not place humanity in the position of those ants. So, yeah, so your question about ethics and data and ethical data or unbiased data, the why are we all scrambling is because we all humans play a huge role in leveraging this tool. And that's my philosophy, glass half full. It's a tool to enable us to be better at what we do as humans, leveraging our critical thinking. And in order for us to do that, we got to put some rules in place to say, well, when do we engage our critical thinking and when do we engage AI? I mean, period. That's the fundamental reason what I do is to not make it scary, but say, look, we need to use this tool. I wish I was an economics major at UCLA X millions of years ago with a tool like that, because I could imagine how much fun I'd have in my classes that back in those days you were opening books in the library to do your research. So it's an amazing thing, but I think the data concern or the ethical concerns around it have to do with, are we doing the right thing, not just for ourselves, but for everybody? And
Totally.
that's a great question. Pardon, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I didn't. I was just agreeing with you, and also the point that let's not forget that, well, it is the humans who have introduced AI and other technologies, and if you run over them, like the ant story that you very well mentioned, I guess that's not the right thing in any case. And actually, that in fact prompts me to something else. Is so there is this whole huge frenzy, right? AI is taking away jobs, and AI, is going to replace the human mankind. And I really want to re-emphasize, I love your story because this question falls right in context of that. um, are you seeing that happening? Are you seeing the future? And let's link it also to the fact that the competency point that you mentioned earlier, AI is not about the technology, it's also about the competency aspect of being able to use that technology. So give
Yeah.
me some of your perspectives there, Renee.
Well, it's funny you talk about the job situation. And again, I live in the Hawaiian Islands, and we're just very excited. We just had an Amazon warehouse open on Oahu, which means maybe we get more stuff quicker. However, the flip side of that, if you took a picture of what one of those warehouses looks like right now, during the peak of a day, there's not many people in it because you have all those robots doing the work that humans used to do. So to say that AI is not taking away jobs would be incorrect. What I would like to say, because I'm a glass half full kind of person, is that it's given opportunities for individuals to leverage their critical thinking and have higher order jobs.
Mhm.
And an asterisk to that is, however, employers have a responsibility to help train them for those new skills. So, for example, when I was a tech exec and we introduced chatbots 1,000 years ago, the very simple version of AI, it was for the help desk, IT help desk, and it replaced the call in, I forgot my password, help me reset it. And flip side is we had staff that helped us 24/7 with people doing that work. Well, once we got the chat bot, we replaced people doing a very simple task, but then we gave them the task of being the chat bot handler. We trained them on the tool to say, look, you need to make this look fun and friendlier and check on its errors. You're now the handler of this thing so that you don't feel like you were displaced. You just moved up the value chain using your critical thinking brain more. And I'd like to say that's happening consistently all over, and it's not. And so a lot of it is for profit or more profit. And people need to understand that It will displace jobs, but my hope is that jobs with higher level engagement of PQ, right? Your higher order brain get used, and employers owe that to their staff if they're doing that.
Oh my God. And it does get so boring to repeatedly do the same task. And that's
Yeah.
actually the right use of technology, where the mundane tasks, which are repetitive, can be automated through AI. I mean, there's a clear pattern recognition that comes up easily. And
Yep.
let's upskill, uptrain the people and get them to do other kinds of jobs. So it is not exactly a replacement of or taking away the jobs from people. It's really shifting the gear and making new kinds of jobs available for the people.
Yeah,
Uh,
I use the
yeah,
word critical thinking, and back to our chat, is AI taking over the world, or is chat GPT or Gen AI tools going to take over our brains? I just want to say no, emphatically no. Anybody listening to this, if that's one thing you could take away, that should be one of them, because critical thinking is a human thing. You're never going to open up a Gen AI, whether it be Gemini or Chat GPT or Copilot, and it's going to be a critical thinker and enforce Socratic method on you. You're not going to see anything like that happen in chat window. That's who we are. We invented this thing. We're in charge. It is somewhat autonomous, but not without us being in charge. And more importantly, we did it. So there's human bias in every element of that AI, which is back to why we need data governance. With what the work you're doing, Alpna, in your company, we inherently have bias in algorithms. That's just a fact because humans wrote them. We inherently have bias in data, not maliciously, but just unintended in some cases. And without the humans governing that to make sure it doesn't have really bad unintended consequences, we are in trouble. We become those ants.
yeah, we do. Yeah. And indeed, you mentioned, I mean, that's when we started Stralin Consulting, actually. We said that there is in every bit of other enterprises that we had been engaged in, and you have been engaged in advising many of those enterprises, Renee, there is always so much of manual intervention that takes place in the end to end order to cash flow. And we are right now working on a product, not exactly a promotion in this chat, but did want to mention that it's called straw L2C, or straw lead to cash product. And we started off in a normal method where, okay, use either no code, zero code, or Salesforce in order to build that product for end to end lifecycle management of any operations of an enterprise. But then, as AI comes into the picture, this is exactly going into the details of every process. So many of these are repetitive and, in fact, common across industries that you can indeed apply AI. So, our products trial to see is about engaging AI in the most effective manner. So, professional services need not be deployed for those common tasks, and you can actually go up the critical thinking chain and do the value add, more business relevant type of things with help of further customizations and human interventions.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think you hit upon it. It's like, we learned that through COVID. The supply chain logistics is complicated from all the pieces, all the Lego parts have to snap together, but it is somewhat repetitive. If can you take some of that out with the automation or the AI work that you just highlighted is
Yeah.
important, because it then gives us the ability as humans to do the things we do best, which is be curious and be skeptical and embrace the struggle of what's our next way of solving a big hairy problem that only humans can figure out. So I kind of equate it to, and I'm dating myself a little bit, when I would go to math class or math
Mhm.
exams back at university, I could take a calculator, HP calculator with me. And it wasn't
Mhm.
cheating. We were all allowed to do it because in the end, I know how to do the square root of a big number. It'll take me a long time, or I can ask the calculator to do it, because that's not my competency. I
Yeah.
get the answer to that square root and apply it to whatever the exam question is. And I kind of look at AI the same way. The only asterisk there, the square root of 81 is always going to be 9. Last I checked, it's not changing. Um,
Yeah.
but when you take an AI tool into an environment, there's inherent, like I said, an algorithm is, an instructional set of information, but it's also solving for value, high value. It's solving for goodness. It's solving for success. Who
Yeah.
defines that success is the coder. It's the writer. It's the AI person in charge. And that becomes where you see that bias, not on purpose, not maliciously, but you still have it. So the governors have to be a little stronger than what you'd have in an HP calculator as a tool.
And in fact, pivoting into that particular area, uh, the governance, since AI is there to handle huge amounts of data, use and leverage large volumes of data, and now, as you know, multiple uh, companies are there to go into the space. I mean, the amount of data collection and everything that's happening, both for operational reasons and to achieve a purpose, is definitely there. So let's talk a bit more about what are some of the ethical guidelines, right, that organizations should adopt to ensure ethical data usage,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. And I think there's some basic ones, and it kind of back to making sure you're feeding that AI engine as much um, a diverse set of information that measures value and success in a whole bunch of different ways, and that creates that conflict that an algorithm has to figure out. I mean, diversity of your data sources. I mean, I know you can go to Kaggle now and buy data sources, right? You can upload all of this, but you should know where your data sources are and how disparate those populations are, the better, right? Would be a great example. Um, uh, and then, sorry, we had something show up on the screen. Let's make sure that wasn't my tool.
No, I think we are good.
Still here.
We're good.
Okay. I'd say also, you have to train and educate. This is back to that training and education component. Anybody in the world of data science now, and I would say we're all citizens of that. By using AI tools, we're all part of that. It's not somebody else's job. All of us should know what it means to, question, be curious, understand how this data will be used, and in the event of you're not sure about something, then raise your hand and ask. Culture of awareness. I mean, these are basic things. For me, writing the rule down, there's plenty of those. Matter of fact, there's lots of conflicting rules. You have, everything from the European Union's AI Act that just became law. You have the U.S. Executive Order on AI. So there's a whole bunch of that out there, not to mention every industry, every country. It becomes very, the intersection of those are sometimes in conflict. And so I would say, to your question about governance, go back to the basics, train your team members, implement rigorous sampling techniques of your data, make sure your data sources aren't from a single place. Seek external expertise, like ask someone else that doesn't know anything about anything except data, come in and inspect it. Those
Yeah.
are basic, good hygiene things that does not get, it's doing the right thing for the right reason, right? Definition of ethics is doing good, not just for yourself, but benefits everybody.
And that's exactly what it is, right? It's all like old rules, same things. Proprietariness of data has to be respected. To do check the sources effectively. Do not copy and paste just without any kind of diligence. And I'm seeing from my own experience in organizations, big and small, that when you have a governance team for data, I mean, data as an organization itself is so very important. It is one of the things which flows through the entire company's, whether servicing the customers or internal customers, external and internal. It's the key. I'm also seeing some questions from the audience, so let me just bring it to the table for us to discuss. Looking ahead, what emerging trends do you foresee in the realm of AI governance, and how should organizations prepare to adapt to these changes?
Well, I think the road ahead is I think the pendulum has come over to we must govern AI, we must govern data. And as I just highlighted, but we have them in very siloed ways. So European Union, we have all of EMEA, we have the US, we have industries. And I think what's coming is going to be having to sort that out, to be honest, and sort it out in a way that works for your organization. If it happens to be multinational, is going to be a challenge, because then you have your data privacy rules that sit underneath all of these AI rules, and the data privacy, porting data across borders, is a challenge. So what does AI use? The better AI is, we just talked about it, the more diverse your data sets are.
Yeah.
So you have this animal on top that is a great tool, but it needs to feed on as much data, as many data sources as possible to produce the most accurate result. But you have underneath that this other set of governing principles around privacy of data, not PII. I'm not saying we need PII, but not letting certain countries do not let their data leave their borders. And if it goes to the cloud, it has to go to a certain regional cloud for them. I think we're going to have to sort through that. So I don't think we're going to invent more of those kind of governing rules. I think we're going to have to sort ourselves out a little bit on what's there and how they all complement and not conflict. I think the bigger trend we're going to see is this is not a geek conversation. Like, you and I are not having a technical conversation. We're having a C-suite conversation. If you're an audit committee member on a board of a company, you're going to care about this. That's Absolutely. Where this needs to go next. And I don't know that we're there yet, because it's been kept in the realm of a technology conversation, and it needs to just get out there and say, this is a business tool. Let's figure out how to make sure it's a healthy business tool, and we don't put things out in the workplace, services or solutions that harm the humans, squish the ants.
Very well said, Renee. And as an active board member, I must add that it is our duty to also bring that to the board around the table, to make sure that audit committees take this up very, very sincerely. There is a dedicated committee for technology governance. I think that's also an important thing. I would add one more point to this particular set of questions we are seeing in the audience is, regulations have usually been a little bit more, heavy on process centric, not so conscious about the timing of things. We must add speed and agility to solving some of these problems, right? Ethical data ethics and governance in the AI world are extremely critical. I think though we started late, so we are actually going to go ahead and just spend a few more minutes and share with our audience. Whoever can stay, please continue to stay on. I'd like to at least address one more important question we are getting from our engaged audience here. What are some of the challenges organizations face when they're actually implementing the ethical AI practices? What are your thoughts, and how can they overcome these obstacles?
Well, it goes back to a real basic thing of change is hard, right? It's change management 101, and there's great reports out there that the chief data officer was empowered to be the guy or gal that's going to implement data ethics and data governance, and that will help us have better AI governance. And if you look out there, and those of you that are CDOs, I have colleagues that are, they would tell you it was a thankless, hard job, and they never felt successful in it. And statistics say that a lot of them weren't as successful as their bosses wanted them to be. But the reason for it was change management, to be a data-driven culture. To make those changes, it touches everything. I mean, when I was a chief transformation officer, I would talk about what I'm about to do in a technology initiative, or changing the portfolio of what we're doing as a company from a product to a solutions-based organization. We're going to touch 90% of the people and the processes in this company. Yeah. And everyone better get ready and have to embrace it. You've got to embrace that, and then find all your little change agents to create the buzz in your particular area, that you understand why that change is important to you. Yeah. And I think this is no different. I don't know. What do you think?
No,
popping up.
no, I think you're hitting my old nerves here because when we have gone through transformations and some of my own experiences, like you mentioned, I think the soft corner was how do we make sure they agree to change management? And one of the
Yep.
examples that we used to take up to implement it is let's have the business case, but not just to seek the approval, but let that business case walk through the entire journey during which the transformation is happening, at least that phase of transformation is happening, and
Yep.
make sure if, say, HR, if, say, a business unit, a sales unit has committed to it is going to give you XYZ amount of benefit, it should be trackable. So it's just like starting the transformation program and ending the transformation program with those benefits. So I think those are real examples. And again, I'd like to emphasize that I think we all know the rules. Each of our audiences has gone through it, like you and I have gone through it and are going through it. We just need to think now a bit more on being on top of transparency,
Yep.
consent of data, you
Yep.
know, having accountability. Every business unit, it's not the role of just one CXO to be accountable for end to end data. It is about accountability in each person in the organization. And I think the policies and procedures have to be revamped and they really need to be readdressed as we go through these fast changing times of
Yep.
introducing AI and adopting it to streamline operations, right?
Agreed.
So with that, I think maybe last question that we can take for at least this round. Time seems to
Okay.
fly so quickly when we are all having fun. Do you see the necessary skills and competencies right now for supporting the AI technologies to really become a dominant sector, replacing the prevalent professional services? I love this question, Renee. Take a shot at it.
Um, I think the answer is yes. Once everyone understands in common language what that thing is. Like right now, I still think it's a mystery, it's a black box. And so I would say, yes, it's a sector, but it's not meant, it should not be a sector because it's super secret and it's entitled to only these people understand it. And I think that's where I struggle now is back to, citizens of data science. We're all citizens of the world doing something, our church, our school, our local community. Well, we're now using AI. So we're all part of that. And there should be four rules that the whole world understands, no matter what they do for a living. And then if we all are on that same page, and I can tell you the four in a minute, because it's always the four I try and close my speeches with, then what you just said is true. Then everyone understands the what this animal is. They looked under the covers and they looked at all the little Lego blocks, and it's not a mystery and it's not scary. Then I think there's a sector that's going to take off and make us all be better at what we do and give us more time to be that inquisitive human solving some of the wickedest problems locally or globally in the world. And just to finish on that note, what are my four things? We all have to understand that responsible AI doesn't matter what you do for your job, but you will be done. AI will be done to you if you aren't doing it to somebody else. Responsible AI means four things: user intent and desired outcome come first. Understand what it's trying to do. What is it trying to succeed at? Humans are always in control. Like we can't forget that.
Yep.
AI has limited autonomy. Back to it has limited autonomy, so we need the sector in consulting to help. And AI is really its superpower is rapid continuous learning and adaptation, which we can't do that fast. So let it use it. And then you have the sector that comes in a consulting way to optimize on that. But those four things everyone should understand. And if they don't and they don't believe it, that becomes a problem for the consultants who are trying to educate and optimize. I don't know if that
Perfect.
makes sense as an answer.
To me, it does. And I'll just add a few more things here
Yes,
for
please.
what's relevant to this question is, you know, again, I don't believe in, and I'm being very black and white, that professional services I don't think is replaceable. Professional services is definitely going to get enhanced and more speedier by using the AI tools and technology. We want to use AI to do what AI is good at, but human beings with their critical thinking will continue to do what they do best, which is adding value add type of capabilities. And I'll give you that story, Renee, is I still sometimes love picking up the newspaper and really going through it. It is like
Yeah.
you want to go back to the old. It is human mankind that you are in touch with some of the emotional aspects, no matter what. And everything is going to take its own time, but it will evolve in a better way as we continue to move forward. And with that, I must say that, with each IT leader is there to help with the future of data ethics and AI governance, but it is every person in the organization's accountability and responsibility. I do want to reinforce that. And at the
Yes.
same time, IT is going to get very well automated for the good. And there will be potentially a much better, more enhanced IT organization supporting business, where business IT boundaries totally go away. And it is that avatara that is going to help make organizations more modular. So, with that, I think we are out of time right now, but maybe one closing takeaway from your end, Renee?
Never accept the initial AI answer as the right answer. You will use these tools as tools, but remember, and I think you said it, it's not a copy paste. It's like plug your higher order brain in and leverage it. That's like number one rule in terms of responsible AI and governing the data.
Excellent. And my own statement is success is with you. It starts with you, it ends with you. There is an AI today, there is going to be AI plus tomorrow, but you are here to stay and you will make all those new developments happen. Thank you all for a wonderful audience. Thank you so much, Renee. You will be such a great advisor to any company who
Thank you.
leverages you. And I would really, I've really enjoyed this conversation and insights with you today. We at Stralin are here to support our companies, our clients, our organizations, and the industry at large to have this guided mechanism for leveraging AI and performing digital transformation in the most effective way and in the most trusted way, where on ground team with us is going to make it happen. Renee and I are totally committed to that cause, and we are going to have in our next session for more discussions, more insights in our continued fireside chat. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Aloha.
Aloha.